Greetings. Don't look for money. Become money. I'm going to explain to you what I really mean by that. Okay? Because we live in a world whereby you've been taught to go chasing after money or looking for money. It is just as simple as, for example, if your parents, they were told by their parents to go to the school and get good grades and get a certain job and live in a certain class, whether is it middle class or whether is it upper class or whatever class, okay? Because the different class in society. Most likely that is what you would do. So for example, the rich is teaching their children how to become rich. The middle class is teaching their children how to become middle class, and the poor is teaching their children how to become poor. Well, if you check out the life of most people who are multimillionaires, you find that they have multiple sources of income. Okay? And many times people might see you doing a certain thing and they might think that's the only source of income you have. Okay, but if you check out most millionaires and multimillionaires, they have over about say 7 different sources of income. Okay? And these are things I was never taught growing up as a young man. It was later on in life when I get certain understanding, I was able to create multiple sources of income. Like for example, when I'm sleeping, I'm still attracting money. When I'm in the toilet, I am still making money. Even if I'm on my sick bed, I'm still making money. Because I learned certain things, I put certain things in place. Okay, so that is why I'm saying you have to cultivate a mindset that would not be chasing after money, but would become money. For example, the rich, they don't work for money. Money work for them. And so, if I was to go into the whole history of my country, right, because it's a country that have been colonized and most of the people have colonial mentality, they fail to realize that the colonizers, what they did when they raped the woman and they make children with them, they leave them in a certain place. For example, in my country, that place would be Dorsetshire Hill. Okay, they leave many of the children there. And so the people in my country can chase their roots right back to Europe. Okay? And so they pass down certain secret from lip to ears to them. Okay? And these things have been hidden from the masses. And that is why, for example, if you go in the city, you wouldn't find the people who own the biggest businesses in the city are people who went to grammar school or girls' high school. And those are some of the schools that they count as the highest best school in the island, okay? But most of the time you'll find people who went to these schools are actually working with people who have less education based on the way how they see education, okay? Because remember, I know education is something different. Okay, education means to go and draw out from within, okay? So it's only when you know your true purpose in life and you work toward your purpose and you use your gift that you're born in this world in, and you can get anything that you desire in this world through you operating on mind science, knowing that everything is based on cause and effect. That is only when you're an educated person. Okay? So, for example, 99.999% of people in my country, they've been taught to chase after money, to go after money instead of becoming money. And that is why your spirituality is very important. You need to know that you're a spirit and you're having a human experience. You're not a human trying to be spiritual. And so every Saturday and every Sunday, the churches are filled with men and women. And they fail to know that they've been brainwashed to look for a God outside of themselves. And so they turn around and they make money their God. That is why they were willing to give their shoulders to be inoculated in 2020 to 2022, because they had no faith in themselves. They didn't believe and love themselves enough, because people thought that they would have no way to live, and they wouldn't get food, they wouldn't get money and all of the to buy these things. Okay, so they had to take the inoculation and take that poison in their body. Okay, so for example, you know, I'm here doing my video, you understand, and they will come around here and, you know, knowing that, you know, I'm recording, and they make these kind of noise and all of these things. Okay, that just to tell you the mentality of people. Okay, so when you understand these things, you'll understand why I'm saying that you have to cultivate a different mindset than the mindset that your parents passed down to you. Because, for example, the rich man, the poor man, the beggar man, the thief is one mind, but just different arrangement of that same mind. So poverty and riches, it all have to do with one's mentality. It's how you think. Okay, so when you understand that your thoughts is actually your currency, your real currency, you would realize that everything on the outside is a reflection of that which is taking place within. So even one's monthly salary is a reflection of their mentality. Okay, and for example, when you realize these things, okay, you would realize that, for example, people who are in the governmental system, the amount they make in a year, you can actually make that in a month if you understand that the number one way of earning money in this world is by selling. So you have to learn to sell yourself, and most people do not sell themselves, because most people do not see how important it is that you learn about thoughts or about words. So because of that, most people listen to the words of politicians and preachers. Okay, and so when it comes to the politicians and preachers, one is promising you a good life while you are here, if you give him your energy. Because if you do not understand that they are actually stealing your energy, and if you do not understand energy, vibration and frequency, you would know that they're actually stealing your energy. So you read the newspaper and they're stealing your energy. You listen to the radio, they're stealing your energy. You listen to the television and the news and all of these things, they're stealing your energy. Okay, so when you do not understand, okay, energy, you cannot understand money either. Okay, and so that is why, my brother, my sister, I'm saying to you that instead of you going after money or chasing for money or looking for money, seek to know thyself. Because when you really find yourself, you know that you are a signal station, a walking, living signal station. And you will also realize that your brain is a transmitter and a receiver of frequency. Okay? And then you will understand also the power of repetition. You see, when you go to school, they have you repeating certain things over and over and over. They keep you on the realm of memory. But you're born in this world with your will, your perception, your reasoning, your intuition, your imagination. And they're robbing you of your imagination. Do you realize that money, it was for us imagine? The vehicle, it was for us imagine? All science and technology, it had to for us be imagined? It had to for us be a thought? It had to for us be an idea? It had to for us be mental or psychological? Therefore, my brother, my sisters, change your mindset. And instead of you looking for money, you become money by accepting the fact that everything is based on energy, vibration and frequency, and that you are a mass of energy. And then you start to change your mentality by being willing to unlearn, relearn and reprogram your subconscious mind. You see, From the time you leave your mother's womb, right up to the age of 7, 8, they've been programming your subconscious mind. Like for example, in my country, in the morning you have to say prayers. When you go to school, in the afternoon you have to say prayers, and in the evening, that's a program. And then your parents who doesn't know better, they were programmed also. And then in the night, they will tell you go on your knees and speak to some man in the sky who's going to save you. It's a program. So basically I'm saying break the program, get out of the paradigm, and be open-minded. And you would experience a shift in your life. And so instead of you looking for money, you would become money. Okay? So my brother and my sisters, as I come to a close here, Tony Robbins would have written a book called Money Masters. Okay? But what these motivational speakers and self-development speakers do not tell you is that what they're saying to you is actually a hidden science that is in the Bible. But not until you understand that the Bible is a book of mind science, you know that it's a hidden language that they're using. Everything is based on symbology. Okay? So they have always been a secret language. For example, there's a young man in my country who was in $100,000 debt. Okay, and he was working with a certain ministry, and he felt led to stop and so on, and his parents, you know, was very much disappointed in him and so on. And so I saw him had something on social media about, I see he had the word alchemy. So I met him by a supermarket called Massey Supermarket. So I said, bro, what do you know about alchemy? And when he responded to me, I know he didn't know anything about alchemy. Okay. But to cut a long story short, we had a conversation and I asked him, who you normally listen to, okay? And it was a bunch of Caucasian men and so on he was listening to. So I said to him, you're listening to those men speaking to you, and they're speaking to you in the English language, and you think that you're understanding what they're saying, but you're not understanding what they're saying because they're speaking in codes, but you do not know it's codes. Okay? But if you take what I'm gonna say to you or what I'm gonna teach you, you will prove for yourself what I'm saying. And so he did. And then he started to get visitation from his ancestors. And to cut a long story short, he's a very, very successful businessman in the island right now. One time he sent a picture for me with between say $30,000 to $40,000 just lying on the bed. Okay, which I don't think was a good idea to do to show people these things. Okay. And so his parents, you know, used to tell him, oh, you following bad company like me, I'm of the devil and all of that. Because they go to church and I don't believe in that kind of system and so on. And so to cut a long story short again, right now, because his business is so prosperous, the parents want a piece of the business. They want them to turn around certain things for them. And I'm not going to go into detail into what kind of business he is, okay? Because even though he tell me I can go ahead and even say who he is and all of that, and I don't do that, okay? Even they now want to get into his business. But yet, they tell you Jesus saved. And he coming back soon. And anyone who speak different, they're going to condemn you. So my brother, I'm saying all of these things here to get you to think. You have to think, because the hardest thing on this planet is for people to think. You see, they make you so busy chasing after the getting that you never find time to think. You see, isolation, being alone. Since I was a boy, I've always find myself in isolation. Okay? Because from a young age, with tears in my eyes, I smote my chest and I asked myself, who am I? And who is God? I'm telling you the truth. I set out on a journey from a little boy with one ambition. I wanted to know who am I and who is God for myself through experience. And when I had the experience, everyone say he's crazy. He lost his mind. Yet, when I use the knowledge and put the knowledge to work, it put me in a place where I do not have to answer to the banks and the credit union. And many people normally ask me if I belong to some fraternity. I've never joined and would never join any fraternity. As a matter of fact, my ancestors did warn me, because in a dream I saw someone right in this country with millions and millions of dollars. saw them in the dream world, and I begin to speak my knowledge, and the person was there silent. It was like in a bar overlooking the sea and a mountain. Okay, and the person was there hiding a secret. And I had an innate ability whereby I knew that they were hiding a secret. So even when you leave here, because all is consciousness, your awareness, which is your real self, will go with you. So you don't want to die with secret. That's why I don't hide no secret from anybody. I tell you the damn truth, whether you like it or not. So my brother, my sisters, don't look for money. You become money because you are money. And don't make them fool you by telling you, but the love of money is the root of all evil, and they do not give you the right interpretation. For example, in my country, all the crimes have been committed because of money. Because people do not have the right concept and right understanding of money. All the crimes. It is not because people love money, it's because they lack it. They lack a proper understanding of it and how to attract it. That's why people go in gangs and they sell drugs and they do all of these things. And it happens all around the world. Okay? So as I come to a close, I want to say to you that what the system did, they give you certain knowledge, which is exoteric knowledge. Like for example, I grew up in a what they call a Christian society, right? And they interpret the Bible to you from the exoteric way. So they give the masses the exoteric understanding. That's why they're looking for this in the sky for a man to come. But they never teach them the esoteric. And I never learned the esoteric from no man. I had an awakened experience. I experienced from within. And that's how I come to be able to unveil these things and was able to decrypt the Bible, because it is encrypted and must be decrypted. It's a coded book. Okay? So there have always been a language of symbology. And even in my country, the petroglyphs and so on, I could go into all of those things, okay, and show you. There's always been a hidden language. Okay? Even when I'm sitting here right now in this place, I could tell where this place is, what it was, and how. And you know, every year they pollute in it, saying they're celebrating Christmas. But anyway, I think I've said enough, okay? So with that being said, my brother, my sisters, if what I'm saying, if it resonates with you, and you haven't subscribed already, I'm definitely encourage you to subscribe, like, comment, share this video. If you like to get my books, the links are down in the description. Okay, you have more than 10 books available. Also, I have gratitude journals that you can use to journal your life. Okay, and if you like to book a one-on-one with me, there's an app. I have an app down below that you can book a one-on-one with me. If you choose to book a one-on-one with me on that particular app, okay, because that app, there are hundreds of teachers on that app, and most of them are basically like religious. Okay, so it's your choice. And if you choose otherwise, you can just drop me an email and we can do a one-on-one, whether you want to do it on Zoom or you want to do it on WhatsApp, whichever platform. We can choose that platform and we can work together. You know, don't just go for the app, because that is cheaper. Okay. You see, when you understand your value, you never give money more value over you. You're the real value. I want to give you some things that are very much valuable for the rest of your life, and as a matter of fact, for your generation. So you'll be able to create generational wealth through having certain knowledge that you can pass down to them. People think generational wealth is you leaving, you know, like a certain business for your children. Nah. That is why, my brother, my sisters, it go to invest in books. Okay? So, with that, my brother, my sisters, my last encouragement to you is to check out all of the links that are down below. And definitely let your intuition lead you and guide you into what to do. So with that being said, I just want to say peace. Love you all.